Okay, so when we're talking about solving polynomials, right? That's the next topic we're going to deal with is solving rational equations. The unit prior to that was solving polynomial equations. And our strategy at the time was factor everything, right, and apply the zero product property. Put it in standard form so it's equal to zero, factor everything, and then use the zero product property to come up with our solutions. Okay, so a quadratic equation is just a small polynomial equation, right? It's a polynomial equation where the biggest power of x is x squared. That's a quadratic equation. You guys spent a lot of time dealing with this in Algebra 1, right? Talking about how to solve quadratic equations. There are some tricks that we'll come back and review next unit. One of the tricks, it's kind of the ace in the hole that always works, is the quadratic formula. Okay, so we're going to just review how much do you remember about the quadratic formula? Like, give me a 1 to 5. 5 meaning I remember almost everything. 1 meaning I remember nothing. Where are we? Okay, so all over the place. That's fine. Let's review the quadratic formula. Anytime that you have a quadratic equation, so a second degree polynomial, that's all it is, a quadratic equation that we put into standard form, which is where it's set equal to 0. Now, there's one other rule here that makes the quadratic formula way, way easier to deal with, and that is we want a to be positive. Okay, we want the first term, the term with the x squared, we want that coefficient of x squared, the number in front of x squared, to be positive. So what does that mean? Like, what if I had, let's take an example. What if I set stuff equal to 0 and I had negative 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals 0, for example? Give me thumbs here. Is a positive? No, it's negative, right? A is negative 2. How do I make it positive? There's one very simple step I can do to what would I do? Okay, but so all this means over here, like, don't worry about inequalities. Like this, all this statement right here means is A is positive. I need A to be positive. What could I do? What algebra step could I do up here in this equation to make A positive? That's it, right? All I have to do, if I have an equation and I want to change the signs of everything in the equation, all I have to do is distribute a negative 1, which is just a negative, through everything. That's fine. So what if I do that? If I were to distribute a negative through there, what's that going to give me? What's my first term become? Positive 2, right? When I distribute the negative, it's just going to change all those signs. So I would get a positive 2x squared. What's that going to be? Minus x plus 3 equals, what's 0 times anything? So that just stays 0. Easy, right? That's all you do. Distribute a negative through to make a positive. Okay, then what? Well, once we get it into that form, we just identify what are the values of A, B, and C. So you guys tell me, what's A? Everybody, what's A? 2, right? A is just the coefficient of x squared. So A is 2. What's B? Negative 1, right? So A is 2. B is negative 1. What's C? 3, right? There are my values of A, B, and C. And then I get to just plug and chug. Quadratic formula. This is easy. I don't have to really do hardly any algebra. The algebra is just getting it into this form where A is positive. Then I just get to plug numbers into a formula and simplify. That's it. Okay. So the formula is this. If we get the equation into the right form where it's equal to 0 and A is positive, then x is just equal to this formula. Big fraction, in the top of the fraction, we get negative b plus or minus. What does that mean, plus or? So how many different solutions am I actually getting from this formula? 2. 1 for the plus, 1 for the minus, 2 for the price of 1. I only have to use the formula one time, and I get 2 answers, one with a plus sign, one with a minus sign, right? Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, that's what's inside the square root, all divided by 2a, okay? How many of you know the quadratic formula by heart? Okay, not very many. Everybody is going to know the quadratic formula by heart in about 4 minutes. Promise you. Okay, you got to just watch closely. I apologize in advance. This video I'm going to show you, I have nothing to do with its creation. I have a suspicion this was a student project like a long time ago, and this is what they turned in for their student math project. Little did they know that it was going to get used by math teachers for decades after that, but at least this math teacher. But by the time we're done, apologize. This is going to be stuck in your head for a while. But one of the best ways to remember stuff, like how many people, let me ask you this. How many song lyrics do you think you know? Like honestly, like, don't you think you probably know over 100 song lyrics if you really thought about it? Okay, have you ever really tried to memorize those? You never sat down and like made flashcards, did you? Okay, for the most part, though, I bet you people didn't ever really focus on memorizing those. It's just the act of listening to a song makes it easy to memorize stuff. And so I got a song for you. So altogether, what does the equation have to be in? What form? What's it look like? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Excellent. And let's see if we can we'll have a little contest here. First period was a little disappointing with their delivery of the song. See if you guys can do a little better. So ready? 1, 2, 3, go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. That's okay. I mean, I don't know. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, so we might, I'll give you another try here in a little bit, see if we can improve. So, okay, so what if we want to use this to do a problem? So for example, now, what if we are solving this quadratic equation? What do we have to do first? Good. Okay, we have to put it into the right form. We need the x squared term to be positive, which it already is. So what's the only thing I have to do to put it in the correct form again? Add 5x. Good. We've got to add 5x to both sides. And if we do that, that gives us the quadratic equation x squared. You tell me. X squared plus 5x. I like it. Oops. Plus 5x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, good. So we got the quadratic equation in standard form. Now we just need to identify what are the values for our formula of a, b, and c. So what's a? 1. Good. How come? Because there's a 1 in front of the x squared, right? What's b? Okay, good. There's my b. And then what's c? Okay. And again, what's the quadratic formula? X equals. Okay, so then we just have to plug and chug. Just plug numbers in and just simplify our answer a little bit, and that's it, right? So if we plug into the quadratic formula, what are we going to get on the top of our fraction bar? What goes first? Okay, negative b just means the opposite of whatever b was, right? If b starts off positive, negative b would be negative. What if b starts off negative? It'd be positive. There you go. So I get negative 5 plus or minus, keep going, square root. Okay, what is 5 squared? 25 minus times 3. Okay, good. So 25 minus 4 times 1 times 3, all divided by 2a, which is what? 2. 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay. So then we just have to, there's our formula. Now we just have to, do a little arithmetic, simplify stuff ever so slightly. So what's this give us then? We get -5. What is 4 times 1 times 3? Okay, so 25 minus 12. All over 2. And we go one more step. What is 25 minus 12? Okay, so I get the square root of 13 all divided by 2. Now, we're going to spend more time next unit reminding ourselves how we simplify square roots, right? But this is a pretty simple one. Am I going to get a nice whole number answer here, or am I going to get some crazy decimal that repeats forever? The latter, right? How come? Because square root of 13, 13 is not a perfect square. What's the square root of 9? 3, that'd be nice. That's convenient. What's the square root of 16? 4, right? So if we get something like that where there's a perfect square underneath the square root, then we get a very simple answer. But this time we didn't. We're stuck with a 13 under there. And so that's all we can do. That's our answer. We get 2 answers, right? We get 1 for the plus and 1 for the minus. So like on your assignment that you're going to do, there's a 4-problem assignment. This is a rarity for me, but I want to force you guys to practice this a little bit. You have a 4-problem assignment that is due, and if you don't do it, you lose your chance. This is due, and then it doesn't stay open tomorrow at 8:30, but you'll be able to finish it in class probably. It goes so fast. 8:30 a.m. So this is, you have, for only time all year, you have assigned homework that you have to do if you don't finish it in class. Our 2 answers then, if we wanted to write these in the answer box, what would they be? I mean, don't even write the X part. I just want the numbers for our answers. What would they be? -5 plus square root of 13, all divided by 2. What's the other one? All divided by 2. Exactly. You just write one answer with a plus, one with a minus, end of story, right? Okay, how about we'll do one more together real quick. What would I have to do with this one to put it in the correct form? Add 3y. Everybody agree I want to push this term to the right. How come? Because I want that 4 to be positive, right? Whatever's in front of the squared term, this is a y instead of an x, but big deal, just different variables. I want the variable squared term, that a has to be positive. So all I'm going to do here is just add that 3y to the other side, which is going to give me 4y squared plus 3y minus 7 equals 0. I got the 0 on the wrong side. Is that a problem? No, just flip it around, right? It's no big deal. Just flip it around. Put the tradesies. So we end up with the equation then 4y squared plus 3y minus 7 equals 0. So what are our values of a, b, and c? What's a? 4. Everybody agree? That's the squared term, right? Everybody together. What's b? 3. Okay. What's c? -7. And all we have to do is plug into the quadratic formula. Remind me again, instead of x, we have y. But y equals, there you go. Okay. Our song is dwindling a little bit, but I think everybody's got it, right? Okay. If we plug numbers in, what does that give me? So y equals, what goes on top? -3 plus or minus. Okay, now what if b is negative? When I square it, is my answer positive or negative? Like a negative number squared is positive, right? That makes sense? So when we square, whether b is positive or negative, b squared is always positive, right? In this case, we just get 3 squared, which is 9. Keep going. Minus times, okay, times -7. Here's a little trick that's helpful. When I'm multiplying this out, I've got a negative times a negative. What's that give me? Positive. So on the top, when I'm doing the arithmetic here, I always just do that. If I have two negatives there, I just make them positives. Okay, what about the bottom? What's on the bottom? 2 times 4, which is 8. And then all we'd have to do is simplify that, right? So y equals -3 plus or minus square root of. Okay, now this is going to be a big number. We get 9 plus 4 times 4 times 7. That's 16 times 7. You have access to a calculator. 16 times 7, all that is 112 if I multiply all that out. All divided by 8. Okay, what's 9 plus 112? 121. Okay. Divided by 8. Okay, what is the square root of 121?
11.
It's 11. Yeah, this one works out well. 121 is a perfect square. So then look at my answers. I end up getting y equals -3 plus or minus 11 over 8. I'm not going to get stuck with weird square roots this time. I'm going to get nice, convenient answers. So all we have to do now is just ask ourselves, what happens if we take the plus sign? Well, then I get the answer y equals -3 plus 11 all divided by 8. What's -3 plus 11? 8. 8 over 8 is? Aha. Okay, so then we get one answer is y equals 1. How about the other one? What if we take the minus sign? If we take the minus sign, we just get y equals -3 minus 11 over 8. Well, what is -3 minus 11? Minus 14 divided by 8. Well, I don't get, I get a fraction, right? But at least I could reduce the fraction. What does that reduce to? 7 over 4. I could divide top and bottom by 2, couldn't I? And I would get -7/4. So those are my two answers. Everybody good? Make sense? Okay, try one on the board, and then you can get to work on your assignment. Try that.
Okay, German boys,